guys, and welcome back to Morgs Menu. Today I will be showing you a meal prep with me video. I discussed kind of like why I do the meal preps that I do in my introduction video, so I'll definitely link that down below so you can check that out if you haven't already watched that. But I'll be showing you two of my go-to recipes this week. The first is going to be a meatloaf muffin recipe with 2 sides of mac and cheese and green beans. And then the next will be a chicken salad recipe. Both of these were kind of inspired from some Pinterest recipes that I found a while back, so I'll definitely link those down below so you have the original source. But I'll also make sure I go through exactly how I've altered each of the recipes to kind of how we personally like them. If you're interested in seeing how I make those 2 recipes, keep watching.
So here's everything we're gonna need for today's meatloaf muffins. We have some yellow mustard, ketchup, Italian style breadcrumbs, olive oil, ground beef or ground turkey will work as well, onion, Parmesan cheese, salt and pepper, basil, and an egg. You can of course alter this to your liking, but this is kind of the mashup that we have created to make this our favorite. So we'll start by preheating the oven, and then we'll go ahead and turn a pan onto medium heat. That's where we'll be sauteing our onions. So first we'll just start by dicing up the onion. You just want to kind of cut off the ends, peel off the first couple layers so that it's not too tough. You kind of get off those tough layers first, and then just dice it up. This onion was a little bit big, so I wasn't going to use all of it, so I just kind of sliced it in half, cut some slices, and then diced it. Next we'll add a little olive oil to our pan that's been heating up, and then go ahead and add our diced up onions in there. For the onions, you just want to kind of toss them around every few minutes to make sure that nothing kind of sticks to the bottom or burns, but you're basically going to wait until they start to get a little bit translucent and you can kind of see the browned edges. And then once you get to that point, you can go ahead and take them off the heat and let them cool a little bit before mixing them into our other ingredients. So for the other ingredients, we're going to start with whisking up 1 egg and tossing that into a big bowl. Use a pound of ground beef. You can also use ground turkey, 3/4 cups of breadcrumbs, 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese, about 1 tablespoon of basil, 2 tablespoons of ketchup, 1 tablespoon of yellow mustard or ground mustard if you have it, and then of course salt and pepper to taste. I do about 1 teaspoon, but you can of course add a little bit more here and there to your liking. Next we'll add in our cooled off diced onions and go ahead and mix everything together. Next you'll need some cooking spray, and you can just spray 8 of the little muffin tin sections on your muffin tin. This serving will get you exactly 8 good sized muffins to split onto 4 servings. So next you're going to take the mixture and just evenly distribute it into the 8 different muffin tins. You want to make sure it's pretty full, and kind of once you get everything in, just really pack it down so that it cooks nice and even. Then we're just going to add a little bit of water into each of the muffin tins that we won't be using to help it cook most evenly. And then we're going to toss that into our preheated oven at 375 for about 15 minutes. Once that 15 minutes is up, you can go ahead and take them out of the oven. And then we're just going to add a little bit of extra ketchup and Parmesan cheese on top. You can do about 1/2 tablespoon here, really just enough to cover the top. And then just spread the ketchup around with either a cooking brush or spoon, whatever you have will work. This just gives us a nice crust and topping on the muffins for when they're completely cooked through. For the Parmesan, you're just going to add, these were shreds, so I just added a couple on each. You can just kind of sprinkle a little bit. It's really a personal preference. Also, if you prefer, you can do cheddar cheese in this step. We just really like the Parmesan. So then you're going to throw them back in for 5 to 6 minutes. This is what you'll have when it's all finished. Next, we're going to move into our two sides. So we have green beans as well as mac and cheese. Both of these you're just going to boil on the stove in some hot boiling water. So once the water's boiling, just throw everything in, give everything a stir every once in a while. Really just cook it according to the instructions on the bag. Next, we're going to go ahead and strain out all of the water from both the noodles and the green beans. While that's cooling off a little bit, we'll go ahead and pull our meatloaf muffins that have cooled off as well out of the tin. I like to kind of take a fork and go around the edges for anywhere that might be a little stuck. That way to prevent it from falling apart. And then again, I just do about 2 muffins per serving, so just distribute those into the containers. Next, we'll go ahead and get our green beans and mac and cheese ready to prep. So just go ahead and add them back into your warm pots. For the green beans, we're just going to add a little olive oil and salt and pepper. You can, of course, change this to butter or do some different seasonings, whatever your personal preference is. And then just stir it all together, and then we're just going to evenly distribute this into each of the containers. For the mac and cheese, you're really just going to prepare it according to the directions on the box. So we'll add the cheese powder, butter, and milk. Typically, I like to add slightly more milk to the recipe than I would if I were going to be eating the mac and cheese right away. I think it holds up better, and that way when you are reheating the pasta, it kind of helps it keep a little bit more moist than it would. So just add in a little extra milk than normal and you should be good to go. Stir it all together, and just like the green beans, just kind of distribute it as evenly as possible into the 4 containers. And that is our final product for the meatloaf muffins with string beans and mac and cheese. This is about 660 calories, so it's a little bit higher than normal for our lunch, but it does have a lot of protein, carbs, and fat. It's going to keep you really full for a really long time. I typically don't even need a snack when I eat this. So next we'll move on to our Greek yogurt chicken salad recipe. We'll start with our tortillas or whatever bread you'd like to use, some pre-cooked chicken, some grapes, your Greek yogurt, slivered almonds, craisins or raisins, whichever will work, some lettuce or any other toppings that you'd like to add into your sandwich or wrap, an apple, salt and pepper, garlic powder, and then a little bit of lemon juice. Alongside of this wrap, we're going to also do some cucumber and hummus, so I'll show you how I'll prepare that in a few minutes. So first we're going to start by dicing up all of the ingredients that's going to go into the chicken salad. We'll start with the apples. I typically just cut around the core and then slice it up pretty thin. Take those slices, cut them in half, and then dice up into small pieces. I really like small pieces for the apples, so I kind of take the time to make sure they're pretty small pieces, but again, it doesn't really matter. It's all going to be mixed together. It's just a personal preference on how you'd like the fruit chopped up. But just going to repeat that until you get about half a cup of apples. As you can see, I do a rounded cup because I really like the fruit that's in this recipe, but that's just a personal preference. And then same thing for the grapes. For these, we're just going to cut them in half. You can, of course, cut them in quarters, but I don't mind them being a little bit bigger, so I just do half size of the grapes, and this will be the same amount, about a rounded half cup of grapes. Next, we're going to be cutting up and shredding the prepared chicken. This one I got from Trader Joe's. It has really good flavor, but you can use rotisserie chicken or any chicken breast. Typically for this recipe, I like to shred it, but I was having kind of a struggle with this chicken in particular, so I kind of just cubed it up and shredded it as I could. Either way will work. So I just went ahead and prepared this. As long as you have about 2 cups of chicken, you'll be good to go for the recipe. So now we're going to mix everything together. We'll start with our 2 cups of chicken, half cup of grapes, half cup of apples, a quarter cup of craisins, quarter cup of slivered almonds, half cup of Greek yogurt, tablespoon of lemon juice. garlic powder, about a teaspoon here, but of course you can alter it, and then salt and pepper to taste. And we're gonna go ahead and just mix everything together. Because we're using this for meal prep, you don't really need to do anything as far as letting it sit in the fridge before preparing the wraps. But if you are gonna eat this immediately, I would recommend to do that. Let it sit in the fridge for a couple hours so all the flavors kind of blend together. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and prepare our wraps. I like to use a little wax paper to store the wraps in to take them on my lunches, and it creates a good work surface as well. I use these Mission Carb Balance whole wheat tortillas. They have a really good, I think, calorie count for the size of tortilla. I would recommend using a pretty large tortilla, kind of this large burrito size, for this wrap because there is a lot that's gonna go into it, but of course you can use bread or whatever you like. Next, we're gonna add a little bit of romaine lettuce in there, and then just add about 1/4 of the chicken salad mixture. Next, we're gonna go ahead and roll the wrap up. I just like to fold in the edges, roll it over, fold in the corners. Stays together really well, and then do the same thing for the wax paper. And then just repeat this step for the next 3 wraps. Once those are done, we're gonna go ahead and prep our side for this meal. So that's gonna be sliced up cucumbers as well as some hummus. Again, this is a personal preference. You can cut this into kind of lengthwise into pieces or slices like this, and then I'll just take little baggies and divvy it out into 4 different servings for the cucumber slices. Then we're just going to take little containers and put about 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of hummus to use on the side with our cucumbers. And here's the final product of the chicken salad. It's really delicious. This is a much lower calorie option for you, so it's about 400 calories, but still has a ton of protein, carbs, and fat. This also keeps me really, really full throughout the day, and I really enjoy it. And here's the final product for both meal preps. So we have 2 meals with 4 servings each. Both really different, really good way to switch up your meals throughout the week.
Alright, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed those recipes and got some inspiration for some that you can try for yourself. Again, if you have any questions on any of the recipes as far as substitutions or how you can change them to kind of fit your dietary needs or maybe cut down some of the calories, feel free to comment down below, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can and give you any advice that I have. If you're new here and haven't yet subscribed, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. That way you're notified whenever I put out new videos. I'll be uploading every Wednesday and Sunday. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any recipe ideas for me, leave those in comments down below. Thanks again for watching Morgs Menu, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.